and welcome back with us. Some antelope at the water. So in the meantime, we've gone tree hunting. So just the tree behind me here, what we've got, where can I put that for you, Peter, so you can have a nice look? Is that all right? Now, if we can just come in quite close on this for a second. This is buffalo thorn. And what I'm hoping you can see here is there's a slight zigzag pattern of this branch. It kind of does this as it goes up. Now, both from a medicinal and a traditional belief point of view, it's probably one of the most interesting trees that, well, I've come across. Where to start off with? If you look at the zigzag pattern, you kind of see it there. The stem branch is zigzag. Up in Botswana, the Tswana tribe believe that they also call this the lightning tree. Don't try this at home though, but if you stand underneath this tree in a big thunderstorm and there's lightning hitting, you'll be safe, because they reckon by the time the lightning gets to you, the power's all gone. So, like I said, don't try it at home, but it is still a traditional belief that does stay. Then, what makes this interesting from a religious point of view, I'm just going to twist this sideways slightly here. If we can have a look at one of these thorn combinations, you'll see every single thorn is a straight thorn combined with a hook. Now in Afrikaans, it's called a blinkblaar waggebikkie, which translates directly to a shiny leaf, wait a bit. So just looking at the leaves here, the one side, slightly shiny, and then the wait a bit comes from this hook thorn. Because if you're walking too close, you are going to wait a bit. Now, the Shangaan culture in this area, the Zulus as well, but we'll come to that, they believe that, let's say for example, John is working away from his home, right, and he dies for whatever reason. One of his family members has to then travel to where he died, where he passed away, because his soul is lost. It isn't at peace with his family and friends and so on. They will travel to the area where he passed away, and they will go and get a branch like this in that area. They'll then take this branch and sweep it over that place where he died. The idea being that this little hook thorn that you saw a little bit earlier on, that catches the soul, and the soul is now attached to this branch. Now what needs to happen is they have to travel back to where they came from with this, and now of course the soul that is attached to this. Let's say they were traveling in a taxi, they would have to buy a seat for this, because the soul and the person that's attached needs space to move back. Come home, and then they'll do the full traditional ceremony where they do the burial. With the body, everything goes back. That evening they will place this branch on the grave. Now the idea behind that is the hook thorn now has the soul attached, and then the straight thorn is now going to point that soul ultimately like that, where to go, being straight up. Alright, now I've spoken to different people. My tracker back home spoke to his grandfather and his grandfather and so on, and there's a slight, not sure which way, but there is a rumor as well, a belief that if they come there the next morning after the burial now, and this branch is gone for whatever reason, then that soul is lost and they won't speak about that person again. Ultimately, if the branch then is still there, life goes on. The soul has been brought home, it's at peace, and then they carry on there. The Zulu culture has similar kind of belief. Slight difference though, is they don't actually attach, if you wish, the soul to this branch. They would plant buffalo thorn all around the grave site with the idea that if the soul does try and escape, it gets hooked and then points back. So the soul is in a way then, how should we say, at peace and where they should be. From a medicinal point of view, buffalo thorn, the leaves, if you chew it, apparently quite good for stomach aches. And then there's an old belief where the young Shangaan boys used to give this leaf. Ultimately, they did do some tests, and they did find an active ingredient in here. It's a very big name, which I'm not going to remember now. But it irritates the urethra. So what would happen is these Shangaan girls would chew this, and they would, how should we say this, they would want that boy. Alright, get close and so on. So it's an aphrodisiac and a headache cure in one. Now I don't know if that's a coincidence. We're still working on marketing this for the big market, but we'll leave that there. So yeah, buffalo thorn, Ziziphus micronata, very interesting tree. Let's see this behind us here. This one's been slightly grazed and used. Giraffe also quite fond of this one, stripping the leaf. Beautiful big tree. Let me just think here now. There's no berries. Also gets a small berry, which some of the Shangaan guys, if you make good friends with them, they'll make you a killer berry beer from it. And depending how well you know them, they make quite a kicker. So if you do travel to Africa again, ask your Shangaan tracker for some buffalo thorn beer. Wonderful thing. Let's carry on.